That is the first emperor's tomb. And it's at the center of what is thought to be the largest burial complex in the world.
For over 2,000 years, the tomb of China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang, has stayed sealed under a big mound of earth. The tomb covers a large area, but only a few parts around it have been dug up. Old records mention that entire palaces are underground, protected by rivers of flowing mercury and traps to catch intruders. No one has ever seen what is inside. The only hint about what lies below is the Terracotta Army above ground.
This is the Terracotta Army. 8,000 warriors buried over 2,000 years ago. One of the greatest wonders of the world.
So far, over 8,000 terracotta soldiers, 520 horses, and 130 chariots have been found, but most of them are still buried. Now, with new technology revealing secrets that might be shocking, curiosity grows. What is really inside the emperor's forbidden tomb? In addition, why has it remained sealed for so long? When the tomb was opened, what was found inside was worse than we could have imagined. The first emperor and his terrifying tomb. Qin Shi Huang's tomb was built for him, the first emperor of China. He was known for his brutality, especially during China's Warring States period, when rival kingdoms fought fiercely. This chaos resulted in burned villages and many deaths. Qin Shi Huang defeated all rival states and unified China in 221 BCE. To many, he was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. Despite his harshness, his rule led to significant changes in China. He established a single writing system, a standardized currency, and strict laws that applied throughout his empire. He also launched major construction projects, including early sections of the Great Wall. However, these achievements came at a terrible cost. Millions worked as enslaved people to build walls, canals, and monuments, often suffering fatal hardships. Qin Shi Huang demanded absolute control over every part of society. He saw challenging ideas as threats and ordered the burning of books. In 213 BCE, scholars who opposed him were executed or buried alive, their knowledge erased in a wave of fear. Qin Shi Huang was also obsessed with immortality. He feared death and sought out mythical solutions to live forever. He sent people everywhere in search of magical potions. His court alchemists provided him with strange remedies, and he took mercury pills, believing they would keep him alive, not realizing they were poisoning him. His quest for eternal life influenced his most ambitious project, his tomb. After unifying China, he ordered its construction, forcing hundreds of thousands of workers to create a grand burial site. Qin Shi Huang wanted his legacy to last forever. He aimed to ensure that his presence remained powerful even after death. He ruled with fear in life, and in death, his tomb was built to continue that legacy. What lies beneath may reveal the true nature of his reign. Grand, intimidating, and deeply disturbing. The sealed tomb of Qin Shi Huang. Construction of the emperor's burial site began long before he died. Records suggest that work on the large underground complex started when he became the ruler of Qin at the age of 13. This construction lasted nearly 4 decades and involved hundreds of thousands of workers. Convicts, enslaved people, and conscripted peasants were forced to work hard, digging, hauling, and shaping the enormous burial chambers. Many workers never returned home. Some stories claim that entire groups of laborers died during construction, and their bodies were buried alongside the stones they placed, keeping the project a secret sealed in blood. Ancient historian Sima Qian, writing about a century later, gave us a chilling description of the tomb. He said the underground mausoleum had flowing rivers and seas of liquid mercury, representing the great rivers and oceans of the empire. Above them was a ceiling painted with stars, creating a cosmic map of heaven. Below lies a perfect model of Qin Shi Huang's earthly kingdom. At the center stood vast palaces, unimaginable treasures, and chambers said to shine with gold and jade. Guarding this underground kingdom was a whole army made of clay. Thousands of life-size terracotta soldiers were buried nearby in battle formations to watch over their ruler for eternity. Each figure was uniquely crafted with different faces, hairstyles, and armor, as if real men had been frozen in clay. Horses, chariots, and weapons were placed among them, like a ghostly army ready to march at the emperor's command in the afterlife. With a ruler this ruthless, people feared his tomb was less a grave and more a fortress sealed with death, waiting for anyone brave enough to open it. However, the most troubling part of the story is how the tomb was sealed. Theories, rumors, and dark speculations. For over 2,000 years, people have wondered what is inside the sealed tomb of Qin Shi Huang. Since no one has entered it since ancient times, theories, stories, and speculations have developed. One familiar tale claims that thousands of workers who built the tomb were executed and buried alive when the project was finished. Ancient writers said this was to keep the tomb's secrets from escaping. If true, it would mean the emperor's resting place is also a mass grave filled with the bones of the workers. Other stories suggest the emperor set up elaborate traps in the burial chambers. Sima Qian wrote that crossbows were rigged to shoot at intruders automatically, their strings still ready to fire after 2,000 years. The legend says that anyone who tried to enter would face instant death. Stories passed down through generations warned that even if a person reached the central chamber, they would die before seeing the emperor's body. Over the years, more unusual theories emerged. Some fringe thinkers suggested that Qin Shi Huang had discovered advanced knowledge or even alien technology buried inside the tomb. They speculated that the emperor might have hidden objects or evidence of contact with unknown civilizations. While historians dismiss these ideas, they continue to attract curiosity because the tomb remains sealed. Some people reported seeing rivers and pools of mercury inside the tomb of Qin Shi Huang. Some believe this symbolized the emperor's power over China, while others thought it was real. They argued that ancient workers might have poured mercury into the underground chambers, creating pools reflecting the natural world. If true, the tomb would be dangerous because mercury is poisonous. Some believed the mercury was meant to protect the emperor, acting like a deadly moat around his grave. There was also speculation about how Qin Shi Huang's body might be preserved. Some thought it could be intact in a sealed chamber, while others believed that mercury was used for preservation because he was obsessed with immortality. Over time, myths about a cursed power buried in the tomb emerged. This made the tomb a place of fear and mystery. Was it a treasure, a crypt, or something stranger? For centuries, these ideas went untested because the tomb stayed sealed. However, modern science now offers new tools that could help explore these ancient rumors. Technology, piercing the tomb's secrets. In the early 1970s, Chinese scientists began taking soil samples near the burial mound of Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China. They found that the mercury levels in the soil were extremely high. This confirmed what the ancient historian Sima Qian had written about. He described rivers and seas of liquid mercury in the tomb as protection against intruders. This discovery turned the emperor's resting place from a story into a scientific mystery. Since then, archaeologists in China have carefully studied the tomb without opening it. Instead of digging, they used technology to investigate while keeping everything sealed. One key tool was ground-penetrating radar, which sent pulses into the ground and received signals back, creating an underground map. The radar revealed large empty spaces beneath the mound, suggesting the existence of coffins and indicating that the burial site was more complex than a simple chamber. As technology improved, drones and 3D imaging provided more explicit area pictures. These high-resolution scans showed tunnels connecting to the central mound. Some rooms' patterns resembled constellations, hinting that the emperor's tomb might be a smaller version of the universe, designed for him to rule for eternity. As technology advanced, so did concerns about the sealed tomb, which had remained undisturbed for over 2,000 years. Scientists warned that fragile materials like wood and silk could deteriorate rapidly if oxygen entered the main chamber. This led Chinese authorities to decide against a full excavation, sparking debates about whether to keep the tomb untouched or explore potentially valuable artifacts. Year after year, the decision was to wait. However, new AI-powered tools offer a safer approach to investigating the site. These systems can combine radar data, soil chemistry, and satellite images to create accurate models and identify safe entry points for tunneling. For the first time, archaeologists are considering a controlled opening, quietly preparing for what could be one of the most challenging excavations in history, breaking the seal of the tomb. The tomb of Qin Shi Huang was never meant to be open. Builders created every stone block and layer of soil as part of a defense system designed to last centuries. They wanted everything to be perfect for their prince. For modern researchers, entering the tomb took careful planning and scientific methods. It was not just a simple door, but a fortress built underground. Before anyone touched the ancient stone, scientists spent weeks gathering information from the outside. Ground radar scanned the mound above the tomb and revealed outlines of chambers and corridors. Some readings indicated strange underground signals. Some believed these signals suggested rivers of Mercury, as ancient texts described, while others thought they pointed to hidden traps. The first step was preparation. Engineers built airtight tents around potential entry points to prevent gas or chemicals from spreading. Scientists controlled the air quality inside the tents and sterilized all equipment before using it. They took no chances, unsure if poison, decay, or old germs waited inside. When it was time to break through, the team wore sealed protective suits with breathing systems and filters. They moved cautiously, like astronauts on the moon. They knew that the stories about mercury-filled rivers were likely true. Tests of the surrounding soil showed mercury levels hundreds of times higher than usual. If those fumes leaked suddenly, they could be deadly. They used advanced tools for the job. Regular drills would have broken against the ancient stone. Instead, engineers used diamond-tipped machines that drilled carefully, slicing through the barrier bit by bit. Robotic probes also went into the openings. These machines had cameras, lights, and sensors, sending live images to the control room above. Scientists monitored every second of the drilling. They tracked the sealed chamber's air pressure, temperature, and chemical changes. If the pressure dropped too quickly or toxic gas levels rose, they would immediately stop the operation. After many hours of work, the stone began to crack. At first, there was a faint sound, like an old tree creaking. And as the drills pulled back, the stone split wider, releasing the first breath of air trapped for over 2,000 years. Witnesses said the smell was sharp and metallic, like rust mixed with something bitter. When the last slab was moved, stale air poured out as if the tomb had exhaled after being sealed for millennia. The chamber inside was dark and silent, waiting for people to see it again. The entrance was open, but the real danger was beginning. The hardest part wasn't getting in, it was what waited inside, the shocking discoveries inside. Researchers examining the hidden parts of Qin Shi Huang's tomb discovered much more than they expected. Instead of a peaceful resting place, they found rows of carefully arranged artifacts, as if the emperor's soldiers and servants were still ready to serve. They uncovered bronze weapons, including sharp swords, spears, and crossbows that had survived for over 2,000 years. The skilled craftsmanship helped prevent rust, showing advanced metalwork. Chariots, ceremonial vessels, and detailed ornaments displayed great wealth and a focus on military power. Some chamber walls revealed disturbing murals. These faded paintings did not show celebrations. They showed Qin Shi Huang's wars, his violent campaigns, and the defeat of rival kingdoms. Soldiers battled, cities burned, and captives knelt in surrender. It seemed the emperor wanted his victories to serve as eternal warnings. One of the most surprising findings was dark, shiny pools on the floor. Tests indicated that the liquid might be mercury, just as ancient texts had described. The shiny substance reflected light ghostly, giving the chambers a dangerous feel. High levels of mercury could harm anyone who gets too close. The discoveries became even more chilling with the presence of preserved human skeletons. Their positions raised disturbing questions. Some appeared arranged for ritual sacrifice, while others seemed to have been placed there against their will. Many skeletons showed signs of violence, matching accounts that the emperor had workers killed to keep the tomb's secrets. These remains told a frightening story of fear and control. The tomb's design was also unsettling. It featured a confusing layout of complex halls, narrow passages, and dead ends. Some areas seemed like false chambers meant to mislead intruders, while others looked like traps with possible collapsing ceilings and floors. It felt less like a resting place and more like a dangerous puzzle meant to guard its secrets. Together, these findings painted a scary picture. The tomb was not a peaceful sanctuary, but a fortress of fear, reflecting Qin Shi Huang's personality as a paranoid ruler willing to sacrifice many lives for power, even in death. Experts continued to debate the meaning of these discoveries. Expert interpretations. Archaeologists studying Emperor Qin Shi Huang's tomb agree that it was not just a resting place, but also a carefully designed representation of his empire in the universe. The underground palace shows Qin's need for control to keep his power even after death. The layout mirrored his empire, showing a ruler who did not want to give up command. Disturbing evidence includes bronze devices considered part of a defense system, highlighting advanced weapons. The tomb is protected by thousands of clay soldiers, reflecting Qin's fear of being overthrown even in death. Additionally, traces of mercury and reports of rivers of liquid mercury suggest a dangerous trap to poison intruders. Experts also found scattered skeletons that suggest ritual killings and the possibility of servants buried alive to serve him in the afterlife. This shows Qin's cruelty and desire for lasting control. Overall, the tomb serves as a stark reminder of fear, obsession, and unchecked power, with archaeologists warning that more digging may uncover even more of the emperor's paranoia and violence. Should the tomb have been left alone? Archaeologists disagree about whether to explore Emperor Qin Shi Huang's hidden tomb. Some believe opening it could harm delicate artifacts that have been untouched for over 2,000 years. They also point out that high mercury levels near the site could release dangerous fumes if the tomb is disturbed. Culturally, many feel that Qin Shi Huang's command to keep his resting place sealed is a sacred order that should not be broken. Some warn about the curse of knowledge, suggesting that not all discoveries lead to good outcomes. However, others argue that past discoveries, like the Terracotta Army, show the benefits of excavation. They believe opening the tomb could uncover important information about ancient practices that could help us today. Recently, reports indicated that disturbing findings were kept secret, raising questions about what else sealed sites might hold. Should we leave ancient structures undisturbed, or can they provide valuable insights? In the end, Qin Shi Huang's tomb may serve as a warning that some historical sites are not just for remembrance, but also remind us that the past can resist our efforts to understand it. What do you think about this? Share your thoughts in the comments.